Hi there everyone, it's Meteorologist Carly Smith. We are live and we are talking about that wintry mix that we had. This is a photo, Lone Star in Alfred. That's the cow's name, Lone Star. So such a fun winter sight to see. Hopefully everyone is safe and didn't get out on the roadways early this morning, but yeah, we are finally starting to see some melting taking place. A lot of locations picking up areas of sleet and freezing rain, and then even some snow trying to mix in. So it was kind of a mixed bag of precipitation. If you saw more kind of lumpy conditions, it was likely sleet. If it crunched when you walked on it, it was likely sleet. But here's a look at some of the different precip types that we have when it comes to freezing precipitation, right? So we've got hail, graupel, sleet, and snow. Essentially, in a perfect world, in the cloud, everything starts as snow, an ice crystal that forms in the shape of a snowflake, and then it falls in the atmosphere. If it falls into a warm layer and melts and then is able to refreeze, it's sleet. If there's riming that takes place where there is liquid or moisture in the lower levels of the atmosphere that then accumulate on the snowflake, that also creates a ball of kind of frozen precipitation, very similar to hail actually, but it's teeny tiny when it happens in the winter, and that's graupel. So a lot of us probably saw a mix of graupel, sleet, and snow, or even some sleet that had some riming taking place as well. But yeah, overall, I think most of us were dealing with graupel and sleet, and then some light fluffy or light snowflakes mixing in. Tiny, everything was teeny tiny. At least here at the station, we had tiny little ice pellets. Hail, of course, comes from severe thunderstorms, and it is very large and happens in the summertime or the wintertime, warm weather, and that has to do with the updraft supporting that hailstone as it riming takes place, which is water, super cooled water in the cold parts of the cloud, freezing on contact with the hailstone. That's also how graupel forms, and here's why I think we had some of that. So that's a lesser known term essentially, but when we're looking at our atmosphere, right, what we see is going to be, this graphic takes a long time to load, what we see is right here is where we expect snow to grow. We are really dry there today, but we did see some ice crystals that likely formed right here. They probably melted as they went through our warm layer. That's why we saw mostly freezing rain, because at the surface it was freezing again. But we were cold enough at the surface for those crystals to possibly refreeze, or those water droplets to refreeze, and that's how you get sleet. However, on top of all of this, this was a saturated layer of air, and it was cold enough where there could be some ice crystals forming right here near the surface that fell as a snowflake of some sort. And it could have had some riming, so it could have been graupel, but really this kind of profile in our atmosphere where we have our moisture line and our air temperature line both so close together, but not quite where we want it to be to get the big pretty snowflakes, leads to wintry mix, and that is exactly what we saw. So this is our profile that the weather balloon gathered early on this morning. And so some things I want to point out are right here, this blue highlight area, that's the snow growth region. Like we said all week, we were dry. We were too dry in that snow growth region, and so that's why we didn't see widespread fluffy snow. But what you do see is right about here, which is roughly 5 degrees below zero in Celsius, there's a chance for some ice crystals to form. But most of our raindrops or clouds are starting to have rain initially. In this part of the atmosphere. This is going to be our warm nose, but there was a pretty thick, in fact, this is a really thick freezing layer down at the surface that allowed any water droplets that condensed here to refreeze or to freeze as sleet. Additionally, some riming could take place, or even we're getting closer to -8 degrees Celsius right here. So at -8, if sea salt is the accumulation or the condensation nuclei. What a condensation nuclei is that's a particle in the atmosphere that water needs to condense onto. If there's no dirt or smoke or salt, or there's nothing kind of dirty for water to condense onto, you're not going to get a cloud. So you need some sort of particle in the atmosphere, and it turns out if sea salt is your condensation nuclei, it can start to form an ice crystal as warm as -8 degrees below zero, or 8 degrees below 0 Celsius, which is right where we were here. So yeah, it's not crazy if you saw some snow, but most of us saw more of a sleet, ice pellet mixture, and of course everyone saw freezing rain. Everyone saw freezing rain. That layer of ice on your car, freezing rain. That layer of ice mixed with sleet made it feel thicker than it actually was, but yeah, freezing rain. That is all moved out. Our radar is clear. I was hoping we'd have more temperatures above freezing for this update, which is why it's later than if you watched my first one. I was hoping to do it between 11 and 12, closer to 11:30 than 12:30. But we're here at 12:30 now, and temperatures are still freezing in Corpus Christi, Robstown, Sinton, Port Aransas, Rockport, Refugio, but we're right at freezing. So we're only trending up, right? So by 1, 2 o'clock, will get above freezing. Baffin Bay is above freezing, Sarita is above freezing, Falfurrias is above freezing. So all of these locations are warm enough to start the melting process. In Southside Corpus Christi, our ice is melting, something that's also helping that wind. So wind creates friction, and that friction is a form of heat, and that will melt ice as well. So a lot of the ice is melting, but one problem that we still have to worry about is the possibility of a refreeze. And so we are worried about that, but what we need to happen is our clouds, they're starting to clear. George West, Tilden, starting to see some sun peeking through up that direction. It's so close, y'all, the line of condensation or clouds. It is moving out as the center of this low continues to move east over the Gulf of Mexico. Look at all of that snow across the southern United States. This is just wild, y'all. I-10 basically kind of shut down for the most part anywhere between San Antonio and really going to be Jacksonville, Florida, basically, which is just wild. Anyway, what we are seeing is the clouds moving out. And as that happens, we're going to get sunshine. That will help melt things as well. It does look like SPID is open now. So what you are seeing is traffic back on the highway from our tower camera. And when we say SPID, we do mean Highway 358, right? But it is back open. I still want to urge everyone to use extreme caution because as our temperatures fall back below freezing, there still could be some ice spots. I don't think it's going to be as bad as it was this morning because we have no new fresh precipitation. But an icy spot here, an icy spot there, less traveled roads. The more people that travel on the road, the better we're going to do tomorrow at this point in time because it will help evaporate. Friction from tires helps clear out any lingering moisture on the road, but SPID is back open. This is where that fiery crash was this morning. It is still windy. Wind is also helping create some friction as well and melting things. So all of this is working in our favor. The wind helps dry conditions out even when it's cloudy, so that's working in our favor as well. The weather right now for tonight or this rest of the day, we are going to see the wind start to calm down a little bit. So still 32 degrees, still feels like 19, still 25 mile per hour wind sustained. But by the time we're getting to 4 p.m., we'll see some breaks in the clouds, the more the merrier, and then clear skies as the sun sets. Now those clear skies and the lighter wind, so notice it gets down to 10 miles per hour by 8 p.m., that is a recipe for cold conditions. What we see here, there's the clearing, so clearing taking place. Then by the time we get to 7 p.m., we have clear skies, but our temperatures are going to be falling. Watch what happens to the wind. It calms down dramatically as we head into Wednesday morning, and this is when we are worried about the hard freeze. So hard freeze means we're worried about your pipes freezing, and any plants that are left outside that are susceptible to freezing temperatures will die in these conditions. So very cold temps, these can burst pipes, kill crops, protect all 4 Ps, people, pets, plants, and pipes, and dress warmly. So here's a look at when I expect all the region to be below, or how long I expect us to be below 32 degrees. So the length of the freeze also plays a role in whether or not pipes will burst. Areas from Beeville to George West to Freer and north and east of there, more than 12 hours below freezing. Refugio, Sinton, Kingsville, northwest of there, 9 to 12 hours. Through Corpus Christi, Rockport, portions of San Patricio County, 6 to 9 hours. Now this is more so kind of Cal Allen to Corpus Christi, then downtown Corpus Christi and areas along Corpus Christi Bay, and then through the south side. More likely you're going to get 3 to 6 hours, and then right along the coast, just a few hours. We may briefly hit freezing in Port Aransas. So light and variable winds allow this to happen. And so here's a look at our lows across the entire region. We're talking 20s, low 20s to the north, mid 20s through Corpus Christi, and then low 30s for coastal locations. Here's a 7-day forecast. I'm going to leave this up here while I look at any questions, but this basically does it. It's the hard freeze that we're worried about now. Roads will not be as hazardous as they were this morning, but there is a chance that we have some icy spots, especially lesser traveled roads, areas in the shade that don't get or that are protected from the wind. All of these locations, they're going to play a role in where we may have some icy spots. If there's any puddles in your neighborhood, they may freeze overnight. Best time to leave today will be as the sun is up. So San Antonio, I would also suggest checking Drive Texas. You just type that into the search bar, drivetexas.com, I'm pretty sure, but it may not be .com. I just search in Google Drive Texas. The first one that pulls up is through text, should be through TxDOT. If it's not, make sure it's through TxDOT, and that will give you the road conditions. If there's still ice being reported on the roads, I would suggest you don't travel to San Antonio, or if you do, you've got to be prepared that it will take longer than you expect. Otherwise, now that we're starting to get above freezing, anytime between now and sunset is going to be the best time to travel. I do not know the answer to is there school tomorrow or not. Check with your schools. They usually post that on Facebook or social media sites. And when we get word of it, we will let you know. I would bet most places are open at normal hours tomorrow. I would use caution. There could be icy spots. So yeah, that's my best advice is there's a chance for some icy spots. Areas that are well traveled will likely have less ice than areas that are lesser traveled. Tomorrow, we get up into the 50s for highs with sunshine. I'm so ready, y'all. The snow is done, Jenny. The snow is done. So if you didn't get snow, you just saw sleet and ice, then no snow. But anyway, that's going to do it. Thank you guys so much for watching this live update. Use caution. It will be cold tonight. I am going to leave it on the freeze graphic that shows how long you will be below freezing as I chime out. There will be no new ice. I think this is something that I need to emphasize. There will be no new ice on the road. With that being said, there's going to be some melting, and then if the melted liquid does not evaporate or dry out, then we could see some slick spots, some icy spots. Some black ice may show up in places. Most likely place for that to happen, a bridge or areas that were in the shade once the sun came out. Those kind of places have the best shot at having icy conditions. Otherwise, it will be much improved travel conditions. And a lot of that determines on how we do the rest of this afternoon and evening. If you're out driving between now and 5 p.m. and the roads feel dry or look dry, we should be good to go. The problem with black ice is it's hard to see. It may look like liquid or you may barely even notice it. That's the problem with tomorrow. So you've just got to be prepared to drive slow. We, of course, will have any updates on the icy conditions on First Edition tomorrow morning, but the bigger thing is this is a night you need to protect your pipes. If you're worried, drip your faucet that is furthest away from where your water line enters your house, and that will keep you safe. From freezing pipes, open all the cabinets, and make sure your pipes are wrapped or protected tonight, because this is the night where there could be impacts there. Driving to Cal Allen should be improved. They did reopen SPID, so that is a sign of how conditions are improving. That's going to do it for this live update. I'm meteorologist Carly Smith. Thanks for watching, y'all. And thank you for all of your reports. You have no idea how helpful that was throughout this entire event. I'm very thankful for that. Be safe and had fun with this winter weather snap. Enjoy it.